Of Gokhale Institute of Public Affairs and Indian Liberal Group Bangalore chapter, and on my own behalf, I extend a hearty welcome to Honorable Mr. Justice U.L. Bhatt and to all those present in this hall. The object of JPA founded by Dr. D.V. Gundappa and the ILG founded by Sri Minu Masani is to promote enlightened citizenship. Mr. Justice U.L. Bhatt was born on 14/10/1933 at Vijayanagaram, a native state, a very progressive native state in Andhra Pradesh, which is now part of Andhra Pradesh, where his father was professor of English. He had his education in Mangalore and did his law in Madras Law College. Mr. Justice Bhatt practiced law before the Mofizil courts in Mangalore and continued his practice in Kasaragod, which became part of new state of Kerala from 1/11/1956. While practicing law at Kasaragod, he was directly appointed as a district judge in the state of Kerala, in which capacity he rendered service at different places for 10 years. He was elevated as a judge of the Kerala High Court in the year 1980, and on the retirement of Honorable Justice Malimat as Chief Justice of that court, Mr. Justice U.L. Bhatt was appointed as acting Chief Justice of Kerala High Court. In August 1991, Mr. Justice U.L. Bhatt was appointed as Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court, in which capacity he continued to serve till December 1933 and was then transferred as Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh High Court, where he retired on attaining the age of retirement. On his retirement as Chief Justice Madhya Pradesh High Court, Mr. Justice Bhatt was appointed as President, Customs and Excise Gold Control Appellate Tribunal, in which capacity he continued to serve and demitted his office in October 1998. Mr. Justice Bhatt was designated as Senior Advocate of Supreme Court and practiced law before the High Court of Karnataka for some, in important cases. Of course, now he is not practicing because of his health conditions. Mr. Justice Bhatt was an honorary professor, National Judicial Academy, Bhopal, run by the Supreme Court of India. He has authored a book called Appreciation of Evidence in Criminal Cases, which has undergone 3 editions, and the 3rd edition was released in 2010 at Bangalore by Honorable Justice Malimat, who is now functioning as the chairman of the Karnataka Law Commission. With his extensive and intensive knowledge of the Constitution of India and the electoral laws of the country, he will be speaking to us on the interesting subject, presidential system vis-a-vis parliamentary democracy. We are all looking forward for his learned lecture on the subject. After his lecture, there will be a question and answer session for 10 minutes. I request the members to frame the questions as briefly as they can. With these few words, I now request Mr. U.L. Bhatt to deliver his lecture.
Justice Puttaswamy, friends, ladies and gentlemen, to be accurate, lady and gentlemen. I was indeed surprised when my learned friend requested me to speak on the subject here. I repeatedly told him, I am not keeping fit, so don't trouble me and all that. He said, I am older than you, if I can go there and speak, why you can't go there? Then we had an old connection. Long ago, when I was in the High Court of Kerala, Justice Puttaswamy visited Cochin and came and had dinner with me. So he owes me something. But yet I thought I owed him something, and therefore I agreed. I am standing here, standing literally, to address you out of respect for the audience. If a time comes when I have to sit with your previous permission, I will go there. No, I want to test myself. He said I am not going to the High Court, true, but I would like to go. So this is a sort of a testing ground for me, how long I can stand. So let us see. Now, Justice Puttaswamy, anybody other than Justice Puttaswamy could not have brought me here. Elephants could not have dragged me here. The second reason is the respect for the great soul, Gokhale ji, who was one of our great fighters for freedom. So I thought if I had an opportunity to associate myself, some institution which goes by his name, it's a privilege which I should accept. Now, so far the subject is concerned, I told Justice Puttaswamy on the way here, I am disappointed with the subject. It is not a live subject. This was a live subject between 1947 and 1950 in this country, when the Constituent Assembly was making great Herculean efforts to devise a proper state structure for India and draw up the Constitution. I remember 47, I was in a SSLC class, intermediate. Those days it was a matter of hot discussion. Today, who is bothered with the presidential system or parliamentary system? All that we are bothered with is how to make money. If you can make money in presidential system, good. If you make more money in parliamentary system, very good. Doesn't matter what system we have. But still, I have agreed to speak on the topic. Now, there is a brief way of dealing with the subject. 1. Advantages of presidential system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. Disadvantages of presidential. A, B, C, D, E. And vice versa, parliamentary. That is no way. Maybe with the young students it may be an effective way, but with this audience I don't think that's a proper way to deal with the subject. Let me ask a fundamental question. What is a presidential system? Parliamentary democracy we know, because we are supposed to be enjoying and suffering. Enjoying or suffering parliamentary democracy in our country. But we are not familiar with what is known as presidential system. So what is it? What happens if he is indirectly elected? Zardari was not directly elected, he was indirectly elected. The President of Burma is indirectly elected. They are not directly elected. I can reel off a number of countries where the President is not necessarily directly elected. That is a feature of which can occur in a presidential system. But that is not the touchstone of presidential system. When you talk of a system, what is important is where is the fulcrum of power. Now, power and jurisdiction, as we know, even general readers, newspaper readers will know, we have 3 jurisdictions. Legislative power, assembly parliament, judicial power, Justice Puttaswamy, and executive power. Executive power is a power to implement legislations passed by the legislature. And more importantly, when the legislature passes a legislature, it puts forward conditions. Under these conditions, you do this. But there are vast areas where there is no legislation or law at all. What happens? In an area not governed by any law, legislative law, the executive has a power to pass orders and implement those orders. In fact, more than 50% of the orders of any government anywhere in this country are orders passed in exercise as the executive power of the government. Presidential system, we have a president, but we are not a presidential system. Why? The executive power does not vest in the president by himself or by herself. I am anticipating. I will explain it a little more a few minutes later. Now, there is no point in having a general discussion on the demerits and demerits of the two systems. Let us come to the situation in this country. When we achieved freedom in 1947 and framed the constitution in 1950, if you have seen the constitution, the preamble says, "We, the people of India, have given unto ourselves this constitution." That happened on 26th January 1950. The Constituent Assembly was sitting at midnight to sign the proceedings approving the constitution. And the Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, made a speech. And he said, at the strike of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India wakes into freedom and all that. That is the constitution. What is the situation there? Situation is not an ordinary situation. There is a partition. We freed ourselves from foreign yoke. Partition led to dismemberment of the country. And millions of people were uprooted. Millions had to flee from India to Pakistan. And millions had to flee from Pakistan to India. In fact, one of the notable public personalities today in Delhi, Mr. Advani, was one of those millions who ran away from Pakistan and came to India. And communal riots. Mahatma Gandhi had to go twice on a fast unto death to stop violence in Calcutta and other places. If you have seen Attenborough's Gandhi, I hope at least some of you have seen, or if you have not seen, it's a must for every Indian. Calcutta was burning with communal riots. Muslims, Hindus killing each other. I kill your child, you kill my child. And Mahatma Gandhi went there and said, I fast unto death till violence stops. Violence came down. The old man would not stop. He says, there should be an incident-free day if I am to. And Sohrawardi was the League Chief Minister of Bengal. He came there and told Gandhiji, everything has stopped. You kindly stop fasting. He stopped his fast. This is the object. And uprooting of millions means what? They have no home, they have no avocation, they have no job, they have no income. Everything the government of India here and the government of Pakistan there had to bear. It was in that situation that we had to, our forefathers had to think of presidential system, parliamentary democracy, constitution, fundamental rights. So such great trouble was there facing this country. And this country of languages, if you find some schedule in the constitution, you will find some 16 or 18 languages named there. Kannada. And which Kannadiga remembers my language? Do you know what my language is? Tulu. Any of you remember that such a language exists? We people have been subjected to onslaught by the rulers of Mysore. From Tipu Sultan to other people. They imposed Kannada on us. We were always a good people. We accepted Kannada as our social language. I am a Tulu, my wife is a Tulu, but if you come to my house, I don't know whether you have noticed it, I speak to my wife in Kannada. I speak to my children in Tulu. Are you bothered? No, nobody is bothered. Nobody. How many languages? So, we thought that linguistic provinces is a way out. No, that only added complication to the situation. This was the situation Ambedkar and his colleagues were thinking what kind of a constitution we should have. And they thought we should have a strong central government which can control internal trouble and repel external aggression and do something to improve the lot of the people. At the same time, this center must reflect the diversity in this country. The religions, all the religions in the world are there in India. Not a single Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Suryani, Israeli, Hebrew, Sindhi, you name it, we have got it here. And languages. And we have got, disgruntled politicians who will exploit these religious feelings and communal feelings and linguistic feelings. So, diversity. The Constitution must protect the unity and also preserve the diversity. Therefore, they thought of a parliamentary democracy. What happened in the United States? I do not know how many of you are familiar with I am a science student, but as a lawyer and a judge, I have made myself familiar with the history of the various countries in the world and the legal systems. America never belonged to the white people. White people were naked, illegal trespassers into the land of the Red Indians, the natives of America. These people came, the dregs of England. By dregs, you know what I mean by dregs. The worst elements of England, the criminal elements of England and Europe, and the poorest of the poor in Europe who thought there is a brave new world discovered by, who is that? Columbus. We will go there and make our life. They all flocked to America. Red Indians were driven into the thickest forests, and that land was, anybody can put 2 pegs and draw a line and report it to some officer sitting somewhere. That land belongs to him. This was how America originated. So there are some regional groupings, policing activities, then finally small states emerged. If you have carefully looked at the political map of USA, you will find most of the states have straight lines, which indicates not natural creation, artificial creation. So also in Africa, look at the map of India, you will never find a single 1 centimeter long straight line. Because our divisions are natural, either language or this or that or whatever it is. So, we wanted a strong center, strong states. America, after the Declaration of Independence, or even before that, they fought a running war with Great Britain, defeated Great Britain in a war, and formed what they called a Confederation of United States, which later was called Union. In fact, the American Constitution, the preamble refers to the word Union. The American President addresses the joint meeting of the Senate and House of Representatives once a year. It is called State of the Union Message. The President will deliver a State of the Union message saying how things are and how he intends to change those things. It is not subject to vote. Unlike our Parliament, where the President's address is a vote of thanks. Address of thanks can be voted upon if you want. So this is how things were. And America developed war with Great Britain. And the southern states, which prospered on account of the labor of slaves from Africa, They are not prepared to abolish slavery. Abraham Lincoln and others had to come to impose their will on the southern states and relieve the slaves of their slavedom, and then gradually emerged the federal structure as it stands now of the United States of America. But what is the difference between that model and this model? I forgot to tell you one thing in the Indian independence setup. We had more than 550 princely states. He said, my father was the principal of the Maharaja's College, Vijayanagaram. It's a small princely state near Vizag. Small fellow. There are large states, Hyderabad, Travancore, Gwalior, Indore, Jammu and Kashmir, Junagadh, Hyderabad, and the British left giving choice to the princely states. You may join Indian Union, you may join Pakistan, you may remain independent. Hyderabad declared that they will remain independent. Travancore wanted to remain independent. Junagadh, which was Muslim majority population with a Hindu king, was reluctant to join Pakistan. It's an enclave within Pakistan, like Hyderabad. Hyderabad within India, Junagadh within Pakistan. Junagadh king, a Hindu king, he did not want to join. Pakistan marched its army into Junagadh, occupied it. The guilty, are we innocent? What happened in Hyderabad? Our army marched. Our army marched into Hyderabad, and Hyderabad became part of India. Travancore was threatened and surrendered. Jammu and Kashmir, you know, Pakistan sent tribals to invade. They reached up to the road of Hebbagilu of Srinagar. That desperately Maharaja Hari Singh, who also wanted to be independent, and the nationalist leader Sheikh Abdullah, they desperately appealed to Jawaharlal Nehru, save us. And Jawaharlal Nehru sent the army there. Finally, Security Council interfered and said, ceasefire. By that time, our army had driven back the tribals into what is today known as Azad Kashmir. Because ceasefire, they continued there. Look at this horrendous situation which was faced by our constitution makers. Executive power in USA vests solely and wholly in the elected president. President is not a prime minister with a cabinet, with a council of ministers. He has only secretaries. Like our ministers have secretaries, IAS secretaries. The president of USA, Mr. Obama, has no cabinet. He has secretaries. Hillary Clinton is a foreign affairs minister. Our minister, their secretary. They have a war secretary, they have a health secretary, they have education secretary, all equal to our ministers. But there is no cabinet as such. Executive power in USA vests solely and wholly in the American president. Would it be suitable in India? For a mere eviction of Ramdev and his followers at night, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi are personally held responsible. I am sure at least one of them would have been sound asleep. At least a lady. Manmohan Singh probably might have been aware of what was going to happen and drinking coffee after coffee, kept awake to watch the TV. So American president is held responsible for every act of omission and commission. But he has such enormous power of patronage, that he can influence senators. Today, Obama is in serious trouble. When he was elected, his Democratic Party was a minority in the Senate. They had a bare majority in the House of Representatives. After 1.5 years of Obama, they lost a majority in the House of Representatives also. Today, Obama's party is a minority in both houses. That man wants to do good. Bush ruined the health system in America, which is the most perfect system in the world. The education system in America, where the poor were, taken care of. Bush, in the name of tax cuts, he wanted to reduce the taxes for his friends, who are all big fellows. And he slashed the health plan and the education plan. Obama is trying to restore it. For which budget has to be passed by the two houses of the American Congress. They call it Congress. They are not passing it. Obama starts negotiating. I'll remove that, you remove this. This is going on. We can't have such a system. Indian Constitution says, very funnily, that the executive power in India vests with the President, poor lady. But that executive power shall be exercised on the advice of the Council of Ministers. See, this is the difference between a presidential system and the parliamentary democracy. We are modelled on the Westminster Abbey, UK. We are modelled on the UK system of parliamentary democracy, which is the oldest parliamentary democratic state. We are modelled on that. Instead of sovereign, king or queen, we have the president elected by electoral college. The president shall act. I am not reading the American Constitution, I have mentioned it. Sum and substance. Executive power vests in the president. That is the desideratum. That is the demarcating boundary. Indian Constitution, I don't want to refer to the various articles and all that. Sum and substance. Executive power shall be exercised by the President in accordance with the advice tendered by the Council of Ministers. And the Supreme Court has made it very clear. Any lawyers here? Except one whom I know. Shamsher Singh, 7-judge bench, Constitution bench, where the 5 judges wrote a judgment and a supporting judgment was written by Justice Krishna Iyer. It delineates the power, President. Says except in 1 or 2 matters, the President is bound to follow the advice of the Cabinet. Bound. Then where is the presidential system? There is no presidential system. 1 or 2 matters, one is, calling upon one of the members of Parliament to form a cabinet. That discretion is the President. But the President is governed by the conventions of the British Parliament. And the conventions of the British Parliament is the Queen calls upon the leader elected by the majority party in the House of Commons to form a government. We are following that. But since the 60s, no party used to get absolute majority except on 1 or 2 occasions. After Indira Gandhi's murder, we got a huge Congress majority. And I think after Rajiv Gandhi's murder, again we got a huge majority. Except those 4 periods and the early periods of Jawaharlal Nehru, no party had a majority. Then groups of parties. President looked to London. What would you do? They said, we don't know because we don't have group of parties. We have only 2 parties. So President was in trouble. He said, all right. The group of parties commands a majority, I will invite. So that President was saved. Next President, if I remember, it is President Narayanan, a very shrewd person. He was faced with another dilemma. Some parties grouped together before the election and other parties grouped together after the election. Then a controversy arose whether he should respect the pre-poll alliance or a post-poll alliance. Mr. Who wants to become president in this country? Everybody will throw stones at you. President Narayanan was a tough guy. He said, no, of course, there is no difference between the two, but pre-poll alliance has some kind of sanction from the voters. Post-poll alliance was not formed in consultation of voters. But pre-poll alliance, voters have voted for them. So that the balance, instead of remaining like this, he favored a pre-poll alliance. This is a narrow area where the president has one or two matters the president has some discussion. He can call for any information, etc. He can return a bill. Then the Lok Sabha should pass it again and send it back to the president. And the president should be waiting in her office with a pen for the bill to come back and for her to sign. America also it is there. The Senate is very powerful, very powerful. Senators in America are the most powerful legislators in the world. Everybody shakes when you mention a senator's name. They are also president has some limitations. I mean, you can't have absolute power in a democracy. If the president has absolute power, what do you call it? Dictatorship. We are talking of a presidential democracy and parliamentary democracy. So this is the broad distinction between, I would say not broad, the only distinction. Where is the location of the executive power? President Obama can do anything he pleases. Such is the vastness of his power. The President of India can do anything she pleases as long as the cabinet has asked her to do that particular thing. This is the difference. Now, I am sure a poll now, I will win in upholding parliamentary democracy. Mr. Who can see Obama? Can any American citizen go close to Obama? Who is your MP, that BJP man? Anant Kumar. Just find out when he is in Bangalore, you can barge into his house. He is afraid to kick you out because you may be his voter. Look at it. Look at it. The freedom which Indians have of approaching their legislators. Forget integrity of the legislators, whether effective, not effective. At least you have a hearing. You can go and tell him, catch hold of his collar and say, I voted for you, now look here, our road requires repair, my son can't walk in the road. You won't leave him till he says, I will do something about it, don't worry. And that is where your worry starts. Because every day you are waiting for him to do something and nothing happens. But at least you can approach your legislator, bring pressure on them, and institutions like this and other institutions can bring pressure upon. Who can bring pressure on Obama, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America, the mightiest military power in this world, the country which has the largest budget and the largest deficit and the largest loans. Japan have practically purchased half of America. Practically purchased. Every company which goes in liquidation, they offer to buy and buy. Anyway, these are the two systems. It's unnecessary for us, since I am not a lecturer in law college and you are not law students. It's unnecessary for me to go into details. The sum and substance is the location of the executive power. Of course, in both cases, exercise of executive power is subject to some sort of supervision by the Congress there and the Parliament here. But then power is exercised. Now look at what happened in Ramlila grounds. Some people apparently were beaten. Executive power is exercised already. Is it not? Supreme Court, somebody issues notice. What can Supreme Court do? You have done wrong. Madam, I am sorry. Prime Minister already said it is unfortunate. So that is executive power. You don't approach anybody to seek his permission to exercise executive power. Whereas legislation requires the permission, consent of the legislature. Legislature has to pass it. This is the executive power. And the location of power distinguishes one system from the other. I have prepared the details and all that. I don't think I should trouble you with all our details. Article 53(1) of our Constitution, executive power of the Union vests in the President, who shall also be the supreme commander of the defense forces. Very funny. The executive power of the President is required to be exercised in accordance with the Constitution. And what does the Constitution says? There shall be, 74, there shall be a council of ministers with the Prime Minister at the head to aid and advise the President, who shall, in exercise of his functions, act in accordance with such advice. So, executive power vests in the council of ministers. It is expressed in the name of. Are there any ex or present government employees? If you receive a government order, you will find signed Bhadra Kumar, Under Secretary, by order of the Governor of Kerala. So, Governor is to exercise executive power in accordance with the advice of the Yediyurappa cabinet. God help the Governor. That's why occasionally he is rebelling. So, rules of business are there in any government, which says that at what level of officer can sign, what level of officer can take decisions. Chief Minister's decision required regarding A, Minister's decision regarding B, Chief Secretary or Secretary, Department Secretary's thing is necessary regarding C, Deputy Secretary regarding D. There are rules of business. One man can't sign 10,000 files every day. So there is a arrangement. So, Governor formally executive power, but it exercised on the aid and advice of the state ministry. Then I don't want to go into details of legislative power and all that. Now, a few lines about the judiciary. Both the American Constitution and our Constitution gives a special place for judiciary. I have seen many, in Kerala when I was a judge of the High Court, I used to sit means the Chief Justice will ask me to sit and I will sit. Our jurisdictions are decided by the Chief Justice. Generally, service judges are given second appeal, first appeal, CRP, criminal RP. Writ petitions are the sole preserve of the bar judges. Am I correct, sir? I was almost the first exception in Kerala High Court. Within 4 months of my appointment as judge of the High Court, the Chief Justice put me in writ petition. Initially, it was writ service matters, transfer, disciplinary action, seniority, this and that, all boring things. So, Kerala, it's a, what you call a political circus. 5 years UDF will rule, next 5 years LDF will rule. The succeeding 5 years again UDF will rule. So, every combination has got its own favorite officers, secretaries, joint secretaries, deputy secretaries, clerks, conservators of forests, or everything down the line. So when that government comes, they find a fellow owing loyalty to the other combination is there in secretariat. He will be transferred to Kasaragod. So a transfer to Kasaragod in Kerala is regarded as the worst possible punishment. They don't mind being dismissed from service. But a transfer from Kasaragod is horrible. So that poor guy will come to the High Court. If I am sitting there, I will ask the Advocate General Government, why did you transfer him? He has hardly completed 1 year. Look at your guidelines, transfer guidelines. Ordinarily, nobody shall be transferred within 3 years of his posting. And then office bearers of unions, they have some special protection. This fellow is an office bearer union. How could you transfer him? No, nothing doing. So once I happened to travel by train in Kerala from Cochin to somewhere. Then midway one minister entered my compartment. Of course, he has seen my face, I had seen his face. So came and sat by my side. Sir, how are you? Sir, how are you? Then, sir, how is your family? Sir, how is your family? And how is the weather in Cochin? How is the weather in Trivandrum? So, all conversation almost grinded to a halt. We have no other common, And suddenly he said, sir, it is difficult to administer the state. So, what's the difficulty, Mr. Minister? I can't transfer a clerk from one place to another. The High Court will stay it and the High Court will set aside it. Look here, in 1 year, how many clerks you transfer? Some 5,000 clerks. And how many cases the High Court has interfered? Some 5 cases. And you say your power of transfer is taken away. High Court must have found some ground to stay your order. Don't worry about it. Go on transferring 4,995 people. Never reach the 5,000 mark. High Court will strike down 5. So the conversation went on this way. So judiciary has imagine a football match without an umpire. In Kerala we said addi. Addi. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಗುದ್ದು ಪೆಟ್ಟು. So you can't carry on a football match without an umpire, so also a cricket match. If you hit somebody throw a football at another fellow, no serious injury. If you throw a hard cricket ball at a bowler or having crashed your wicket, you may have to get into hospital. So you require an umpire with a whistle. Your president was an umpire with a whistle. I do not know how often he was blowing the whistle. The fact that you have a whistle does not mean that you must go on blowing it. There are some judges who leave the whistle at home and then go to court because they never want to blow the whistle. Disputes between A and B. In the good olden system, our Patels and Chanbhogs and local zamindars commanded so much of influence that they could help people settle their disputes. Then came the old panchayats where a big fellow will become the panchayat president and both sides will go to him and said, if we have a dispute, kindly settle it. He used to settle. Now we have become civilized, so we have got civil courts and criminal courts. The dispute settlement system has collapsed. But the last 10 years, every high court is creating some infrastructure for mediation, settlement and all that. That's the role of the judiciary. Settle. I still remember when I was number 2 in Kerala High Court, I was the chairman of the Kerala Legal Services body and all that. And I organized massive Lok Adalats in every district. I went to Kasaragod. It was a district. A huge Lok Adalat. We settled about 1,300 cases. And of course, most of the cases are MACT cases, motor vehicles. But we were concentrating on money claims and matrimonial and family disputes. So I go to every Lok Adalat and tell them, look here, any matrimonial dispute, if you want my help, call me. So in Kasaragod, I was called to the matrimonial section. Young Muslim fellow and his bride, where the disputants. They are sitting, and by their side were sitting their 2 sets of parents. I went there. I was told they are not able to agree. He said, who is creating trouble? My judges, local judges said the parents are creating trouble. So I called one of the organizers and said, take them, give them tea and something to eat and prevent them from coming here. I talked to both of them. I found that they were very anxious to live together. And they settled that everything was settled, and the local munsif or whatever it is was sitting there. One court hall will be there. And he immediately passed a decree for etc. And then I said, don't leave them, get an auto rickshaw, put them in the auto rickshaw and let them go home. I also went to the steps of the compound, saw them inside the auto rickshaw and sent them home. So there can't be any greater pleasure than reuniting a family. Now, high courts are playing a great role. Anyway, coming back to the subject, there's a role of the umpire. There's a dispute between the citizen and the state. The poor citizen is helpless. The state is represented by the chief secretary or the secretary to the department or the deputy commissioner. I was happy the other day to read a comment by one of the judges of your court about special deputy commissioner. He asked, what is so special about them? A powerful state, an institutional judiciary is necessary to examine the legality of the actions of the state and provide relief to the citizen if the state action is either unconstitutional or contrary to law. It works the same way in the presidential system and in the parliamentary system. George Bush became a president for the second time because of the Supreme Court of the United States. They gave him a gift of the presidency. Losers, of course, were always the people of the United States. So, advantage I have explained to you. Parliamentary democracy is within the reach of an ordinary citizen. A presidential system is beyond the reach of an ordinary citizen. A member of the parliament is capable of responding in a better manner and a speedier manner to the problems of local people. The president is not capable of responding that way. And if the purpose of a government is to serve the people, then any day a parliamentary democracy is better than a presidential system, particularly for a vast continental country like India, with a population of 120 crores divided into 16, 18 languages and so many states. And look at the Vindhyas. Vindhyas do divide India. People to the north of India do not appear like people to the south of India, do they? They don't. I spent 3 years in Delhi. I had never settled down in Delhi. Madhya Pradesh is a different thing, I was so busy that I had no time to think of my own personal situation there. But Delhi was not like that. It was a strange place, strange people, strange customs. If you ask somebody what is the time in English, he will reply 12 baje. He will reply in Hindi. That he knows English is clear from his understanding my question. His reply will be in Hindi. What sort of linguistic patriotism is that? Sir, it's not a speciality of Delhi. It happens in Bangalore also. We people, Kannada people in Kasaragod, even today fight for gazette notification in Kannada, for government printed forms in Kannada, for government orders in Kannada. We fight and succeeded. One day I read the newspaper, 25 Sahitis, going around a procession around the Vidhan Saudha, protesting against the decision of, I think, Kumaraswamy government to make available to Marathi people in Belgaum government forms in Marathi. Sir, why did you want Karnataka? Because people are Kannadigas and you want the government to run in Kannada. Are Marathis in Belgaum foreigners? Are they invaders from Iraq or Iran? They are born there, bred up there, educated there, they pay their taxes there. So why deny them the benefit which you are prepared to give to a man of your own language? So, I am just saying that constitution is not enough. There must be a heart in the chief minister, in the prime minister, in the ministers, in the bureaucrats, in the judges. I have seen cruel judges in my time. I have seen kind-hearted judges in my time. Judges are not descended directly from the heaven. They are salt of the earth, born of this mother, like anybody else. They have their weaknesses, strengths and all that. But a good judge is one who realizes that he has weaknesses. A great judge is one who realizes he has weaknesses and successfully gets over those weaknesses. I would remove my hat and salute such a judge any time, any day. You must have a judiciary of that type. So judiciary is the third organ. Whether it is a presidential system or parliamentary system, there is not much difference, except that in America, every appointment to the Supreme Court must be approved by the Senate. The Senate has committees, Judiciary Committee, A Committee, E Committee, Electricity Committee. Judiciary Committee must approve. This candidate for judgeship of the Supreme Court must appear before the committee and answer. Suppose he is a High Court judge. There is no High Court there. There is a state federal court. That is, federal court means federal, Obama's court in every state. It is called the state federal court. There is a Yediyurappa court in every state. That is called the state Supreme Court. So somebody from there is proposed to be appointed to Supreme Court. That man or woman must go to the Senate hearing, face questions. Oh, when you are a judge of the Karnataka High Court, did you not decide this case against the prohibition law? What is your justification? This kind of questions they have to face, and then only the committee will sanction. If those are sanctioned, you can't become a Supreme Court judge. Finished. But I think that system is better than our system. Number 1, 2 and 3 anywhere can bring anybody, any Rama or Duma to the Supreme Court and the High Court without anybody questioning. The danger of a presidential system is what happened to Barack Obama, of his becoming, valueless in the face of a hostile parliament. So, I think it's my time. Even in a parliamentary system, look here, the tendency to become dictatorial is not far away. Indira Gandhi, even yesterday, I heard one of the aspirants for the post of next Prime Minister, who is called by the media as the Prime Minister in waiting. He has been waiting for a long time, poor man. Characterizing the late Indira Gandhi as a dictator. Yeah, many people felt so. Many people did not feel so. Who is correct and who is wrong, it is for history to judge. So, that is possible because of the poor stuff of the members of parliament whom you people elect. You elect spineless people who can't stand up to dictators' words. They bend, they bow. In fact, after emergency, I think, I forget who it is who said, I forget it somewhere. He said during emergency, officers, government officers, were asked to crawl, but they prostrated. That is, they did more than what they were asked to do. There's a kind of... So how do you improve this stuff? Some thought is necessary. The system is not important, sir. The men and women operating the system are equally important, if not more important. So, many things to be said, but they follow logically from what I have said. But any system can survive with a strong and independent judiciary. I feel. I had a old 50-year-old leftist background. As one of those persons who was saddened by the collapse of Soviet Union. Even then and now, and more convinced. If only Soviet Union had a strong and independent judiciary, many of the evils which happened or reported to have happened in the Soviet Union would not have happened. And who knows, Soviet Union could have survived. So, whether this system or that system, there's need for a, I forget his name, Pakistan Supreme Court, Iftikhar, Mian Iftikhar. Nobody remembers? Who fought Musharraf, who fought Zardari for some time and got back his chair. I think the only example in the whole world where a Chief Justice ousted from this chair was restored back to power. That is necessary. Irrespective of the system, there should be a vigilant people, vigilant voters, a vigilant and powerful independent judiciary. Then any system can work. But in a country like ours, with its diversities and differences, different points of view, multilinguistic nature of the country, I think parliamentary democracy will be a more responsive state structure. And therefore, I think that is what we should prefer. Thank you for a patient hearing. And I congratulate myself that I am able to stand for 15 minutes. I accepted 2 briefs on conditions I will come and argue as long as I stand. So I can tell them I can stand for 45 minutes.
My name is Swami. I have got one question. When Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister and Gyani Zail Singh was the President, Gyani Zail Singh, there was a falling out between them. And it had come to a stage when Gyani Zail Singh almost was thinking of dismissing Rajiv Gandhi as Prime Minister. And the power for that was, there is a clause in the Constitution which says, the Prime Minister shall hold the office at the pleasure of the President. Now, how far this particular clause is applicable, and was Gyani Zail Singh right in thinking that he could dismiss Gandhi?
Any question which goes along with this question? Any other question which goes along with this question? Not yours.
Any other
other
person
people's?
who wants to
Something
ask
like
the
this.
same
Something like
question?
this. We have question. Otherwise, look here. I agreed to take questions with a specific condition that answers are not guaranteed. Yes, the factual background mentioned by Mr. Swami is correct. Correct in the sense it was reported in the media. And today, 90% of what is reported in the media, I am prepared to disbelieve. But if you ascribe any truth to the media, that Jail Singh at one stage was advised. So Jail Singh is not a man with a brain. Some people went to him and advised him, why don't you dismiss Rajiv Gandhi? Acha, ऐसा है? हाँ, बुलाओ, lawyer का बुलाओ, हम देखेंगे. That stage was it. So there are certain constitutional provisions which has to be understood in the background. We follow the parliamentary democracy. Supreme Court has times without number has asserted that we follow the Westminster model, which is the model of the UK. UK, there is no written constitution. I suppose you know that. There is a book borrowed by me from the Karnataka Judicial Academy. Chapter 1 is United States of America Constitution. Chapter 2 is Unwritten Constitution of the United Kingdom. Very funny. If it is unwritten, how can you print it? Anyway, there also the sovereign, the king or the queen, has the constitutional power. The Prime Minister holds office at the pleasure of the sovereign. But the sovereign is not expected to implement his personal pleasure. This morning I asked Rajiv Gandhi to meet me at 8 o'clock. Rajiv Gandhi says 8 is very inconvenient, I will be there at 8:15. Aisa? Slow. That's not the kind of pleasure, it's a constitution. Pleasure is a word used by the constitution. It literally means that as long as he enjoys a majority in the Lok Sabha, not even Rajya Sabha, nobody bothers about Rajya Sabha, elected leader of the Lok Sabha, as long as he enjoys majority, no president can dismiss him saying that you have lost my pleasure. Then what happens to the president is, luckily it was Rajiv Gandhi. Had it been Sanjeev Gandhi, who knows, he would have gone and physically lifted Jail Singh and taken him to Amritsar and put him in the tank in the Golden Temple. So at least Rajiv Gandhi respected certain norms. Of course, he was not suitable Prime Minister. How can a taxi driver or an airplane pilot have the capacity to, rule a diverse country like India? That gentleman never knew what hardship was. You may ask me, what about Mr. Deve Gowda? At least he was, as he claims, a Mannina Maga. At least in his young days, at least he must have, driven buffaloes in the village and things like that. He has seen poverty in the old Mysore villages. What did Rajiv Gandhi see? Only the skies and the heaven, and the continued protection of the prime ministerial residence, his grandfather, his mother, throughout. How many years? 30, 40 years. What does he know of India that India does not know? Forget it. Some people's fascination for a dynasty, right or wrong, is not for me to say. Some may say, what is wrong with that? After all, kings can be dynasty, why not prime ministers? Then the next question is, why not members of parliament? Why not panchayat members? And why not judges? Our young man would have become a judge now. You should put his son somewhere here. He had a grievance. When he coming by car, I asked my friend here, you could have made your son a judge. He said, sir, he is not prepared to make a single recommendation in my favor. That is how judges should be, sir. That is how judges should be. And I am happy to hear that Justice Puttaswamy was a judge like that. So that kind of thing. Pleasure is not personal pleasure, sir. Jail Singh is a man. Suppose, assume, I do not know, he has a cantankerous wife and she attended a wedding reception and found that Sonia Gandhi was wearing a far better sari and expensive sari than what Mrs. Jail Singh was wearing. So she walks away from the wedding reception, catches hold of the husband by his throat and says, "Wo Rajiv Gandhi ko bahar karo." And then says, pleasure is not that way. There must be a constitutional reason. If he has lost his majority, certainly President will exercise his pleasure in asking him to vacate. And I don't know, Constitution doesn't contemplate a dismissal as such, whereas the Constitution contemplates a dismissal of the state government, a state ministry. It does, there is a special provision, imposition of governor's rule, president's rule. Constitution does not contain any provision to impose a president's rule in the Union of India. Whether it is a drawback or an advantage, I don't know. I suppose with a president like Jail Singh, I think during Jail Singh's time, some emergency was declared. Am I correct? That Assam man, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, Assam. So the next week, There's a cartoon in Shankar's Weekly. I don't know whether it is there now. Jail Singh is sitting in the bathroom in the bathtub and somebody knocks. He says, क्या है? वो ordinance sign करना चाहिए. You can't wait for me to finish my bath. I should do it in my bath. So that's the kind of reaction of a humorist to the situation. So pleasure doesn't mean personal pleasure. It should be constitutional reason. And basically, I think he must lose his majority. If he misbehaves, sir, President has got power to call him, advise him. And Krishna has written, his advice is not only one way, it should be two way. Who knows, the President may be a great statesman, as the Prime Minister may be, as in the case of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi Rao Jr. Then the President has to play a paternalistic role, advise him, guide him and all that. All these are, and Mr. Swami, you do not know the commotion created in Delhi when President calls for a file. There's a big gadbad in the Secretariat. Oh, President has called for a... Nothing is going to happen. But still, President has called for a file. Big issue there, and the Secretary is running here and there, going to the Minister, and the Prime Minister constituting a group of ministers with the permanent chairman, Pranab Kumar Mukherjee. I'm told he heads 44 different groups of ministers, poor man. Why you could not make him Prime Minister? He has served the Congress well and loyally, except for a very brief period. So, group of ministers. So this has got an effect. And particularly these days, when we have a media which intrudes into the bedroom of a minister also, then people are careful. And that's a sort of a control. A philandering husband. You know what is meant by a philandering husband? A philandering husband will stop philandering when his wife becomes very, very watchful. In America, they have detective agencies to watch the husband's activities. So a watchful president can exercise a lot of restraint in a Prime Minister. Thank you. You say, I have one difficulty. I can't give you a one-line answer. So if you expect a one-line answer, no.
I'm a regular visitor to Buckle Institute, and I just want to point out, sir, your point that...
have I seen you somewhere? No.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. I think you had mentioned one point which I was not aware, that in the America, there is a monitoring and power, a lot of power is given to Senate, where one can question the executive power. I felt in this constitution, as soon as you said that, I felt we don't have that power. Because nobody can question Prime Minister, because we have to go to the Parliament and only those people in the Parliament they can question. For example, we are having such a big case, like now we are having that black money. And it has become a very big issue, and people have to go on fast. That looks very bad. I felt if the President is having even little power, he need not have executive power. Whether he can call some 1,000 experts in various related areas from the various corners of the country, and he can have a seminar on this topic. So what is happening? Is it a very serious thing? Because we hear a lot of things in the channels. We don't know what is true and what is not true. What we want is rational scientific discussions, whether President, why he is not having so much, even that power, to call for 1,000 experts who can arrange, we can have a very nice discussion, rational discussion, and it can be settled perhaps in 1 month. The whole issue. For example, the list of names who are having money in the Swiss bank, I don't know whether the President is having that information or not, whether because he is the head of the state and he is over and above everybody, but whether he has got that information, sir, I don't know. Whether he can call for that information. Like that, so many questions will come one after another. I felt that the point there is that somebody should monitor, and at least the questioning power should be there in our constitution. Why it is not there? Whether there is, whether you recommend such things to happen in future, sir. That's all, sir. Thank you.
promised to ask one question, you stopped at 22 questions, which I think is a record in Gokula Institute. Okay. Don't blame me for the constitution. I had nothing to do with that. I was studying in intermediate class. But very wise people. I accept their wisdom. You know, that first generation of politicians in this country, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Rajendra Prasad, Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, and Acharya Narendra Dev, that socialist, Acharya Kripalani, Sucheta Kripalani, Ambedkar, B. Shivarao. He was a member of the Constitution Drafting Committee. Benegal Shivarao, belongs to Karnataka. Aladi Krishnaswamy here. You can't imagine a greater legal brain than this. They struggled for more than a year and framed this. My personal view, I will tell you, the matter is black money is pending in Supreme Court. It's not appropriate for me to say something. I am terribly afraid of rival centers of power in this country. Terribly afraid of having two rival centers of power. Prime Minister is not that one center of power. The Council of Ministers is one center of power. Prime Minister, you take it from me, sir, Manmohan Singh doesn't decide anything by himself. Nothing. Maybe Jawaharlal Nehru was doing it, maybe Indira Gandhi did it. Maybe even Lal Bahadur Shastri, the little man, he decided to go to Soviet Russia for talks with Ayub Khan without telling anybody and taking anybody's view, because he knew that all his ministers will oppose. After that he did not return is one of those tragedies that India has suffered. Rival centers of power, Prime Minister, President. Then 24 hours you will find in the media only stories about what Rajiv Gandhi, Manmohan Singh said and what Pratibha Patil said and all that. Rival power of center is very dangerous to any political system, one. Two, black money, look here, I don't know. Sir, you are living in an age when in a case against judges at different levels, the name of one Supreme Court judge was mentioned. The names of 3 High Court judges were mentioned. The names of a few district judges were mentioned. Names of a Sirasar, the district courts were mentioned. So where does the buck stop? And what does... Look at hats off to Supreme Court. They are dealing with matters regarding which they have absolutely no expertise. Look here, Supreme Court judiciary is the one institution which is not required to have any expertise except in law. Is it not? I once heard Sir C.P. Ramaswamy here, when I was a student in Madras Law College, he was invited to deliver a lecture to us. He said, a lawyer is not to be a specialist. He is to be a generalist. He should know everything. He says you must study oceanography also, because Madras being a port, there will be some case of ship sinking and one ship hitting another ship. So you must know about ships, how ships are built, how they break. All these a lawyer should know. Wonderfully it is, judges need not know, because the lawyers are there to teach them. Tell me, have not the lawyers taught you so many things? No. Good things. I acknowledge my indebtedness to the Kerala bar and other bars. I'll tell you one story. When I was junior judge, 2-year-old, 3-year-old in the High Court, I was put on a division bench as a junior judge to one Justice G. Vishwanath Iyer, a very senior judge, one of our great civil lawyers. I was sitting with him. Okay, for 15 years I was a pure civil lawyer before I became a district judge. For 10 years as a district judge, I have handled the umpteen number of civil cases. So I had a kind of, if you want a bad word, arrogance. If you want a good word, self-confidence. had a sort of an arrogance that, oh, civil law, there's nothing much that I don't know. In Kerala, combination lasts for 4 months. Unlike in Karnataka, in the previous evening, 5 o'clock, no judge knows in what jurisdiction he sits the next day. When Justice Sodhi was the Chief Justice, that was happening. Every other week there is some change. In Kerala, when before the advent of outside Chief Justices, we had no change for 4 months. January to summer vacation, reopening to Onam, August, September to 31st December. So one full term I sat with Justice Iyer. The tradition in the High Court is that the junior judge from his chamber goes to the chamber of the senior judge, and together they walk into the High Court, court hall. So the last day of our sitting together, and when we come down from the bench also, junior judge goes inside the chamber of the senior judge, leaves him there, takes leave, and then go back to his own chamber. So I escorted him back to his chamber, and he sat down. I sat down. He was surprised because the first time I was sitting down when I was leaving him there, he asked me in Malayalam, just but anything the matter? I said, yes, Justice Iyer, I want to tell you something. Come on, what is it? You may believe me or you don't believe me, I don't mind. I told him, Justice Iyer, before I sat with you, I had the arrogance to believe that there is nothing in civil law which I did not know. Last 4 months I have learned so much of civil law from you. I am thankful to you and grateful to you. He was 1 year due to retirement and all that. I was moved to see tears in his eyes. So that is how judges became good judges. A bad bar can't produce a good judge. If all the lawyers for 3 months arguing before a judge do not study the cases, do not work up the law and cite the necessary decisions, what can the poor judge do? Therefore, going back to this question, leave black money, sir. Mister, for 60 years nobody can tackle it. And don't blame only the Congress party. A great man, a person acclaimed as a great man, Mr. Vajpayee, was Prime Minister for 7 years. What happened? Why? And Vajpayee was the leader of the party which claimed to be a party with difference. Why no difference was shown? Sir, there are problems. Every party owes so much to the corporate world in India. Ambanis are everybody's friend. Tatas are now. I thought one day, at one time, in my ignorance, the Tata group was the one group which had integrity. Now after radio tapes and 2G spectrum, I find there's not much difference between Tatas and Ambanis and other groups. Sir, how do they make money? By getting government concessions and government orders. Ambanis were known. They were producing this, yarn. When their manufacture goes up, Government of India imposes import ban. So Ambani sell all their yarn. And when their rivals start manufacturing, Government of India removes the import ban. Rivals can't sell. Sir, this happened. Pranab Kumar Mukherjee was, Prime Minister even in Indira Gandhi's time. Everybody knows in Delhi what happens and all that. I was, just a story, I was president of SIGAT for 3 years. One particular company, tobacco company, we heard a case which involved 950 crores of rupees, 850 crores customs duty imposed, short levy, 100 crores penalty on company and various officers. I didn't want to hear it. Because if I hear it, I will decide according to what appears to me correct. Who knows, it may favor the company. Then my name is mud in Delhi. For 30 years I have held my head high with an intact reputation. In the final hour I have to lose my... I told the office, don't post the case till I retire. Then Mr. Vajpayee, not Vajpayee, this Mr. N.K. Singh, who later became private secretary to Mr. Vajpayee as Prime Minister. He was then the finance secretary under Chidambaram. He came to my chamber one day with a list of some 40 cases, all involving 50 crores and more. He told me, Chidambaram's first budget he slashed custom duties and excise duties and all that. So January was approaching, no money in the treasury. They are desperate. So N.K. Singh came with a request to me, these cases may be disposed of early. I said, I went through that list and the one figure 950 crores. I said, all these cases will be disposed of except this one case. Which case? That case, 950. Why, sir? Look here, this was in January of the year of my retirement, 98. I said, look here, hearing will take 2 or 3 months. Then we may, then summer vacation, then we may take some time to prepare the judgment. I am due to retire in October. My benchmate is also due to retire in October, a few days after me. And if by some chance the company succeeds, then both of us lose our character. In Delhi, everything is supposed to be manipulation. I don't want to hear it. Then he went on pressing me and all that, sir, this, that and all that. Finally, I yielded. In that case, we had ordered for stay that the government, the company should deposit 450 crores. Mr. Nariman came and argued. And they deposited 450 crores in 1 week. And I told Mr. N.K. Singh, look here, you want us to take it up urgently. Where is the guarantee that government will win the case? If you lose the case, you have to return 450 crores. Sir, who is going to return it? Now, I am telling you, these forces operate in this country. Therefore, whether it is the Congress party, I am talking as a citizen. Don't ascribe these views to a judge. Congress party, BJP party, this party, that party, any party is susceptible to influence us. So they have to overcome it. Sir, from what has happened in the last 2 months, I am reasonably certain that the government, particularly with Manmohan Singh, is going to take some steps. How effective they will be, God alone knows. Now this ordinance, I was shocked when the senior Bhushan and the junior Bhushan told in the media, there is no difficulty in passing an ordinance in declaring black money, foreign black money as national wealth. You may pass an ordinance, but for the government of Switzerland, it is a piece of paper. How is the government of Switzerland concerned with your ordinance or your law? They will say, we have our law, we will act only according to our law. Then the last 2 days, even yesterday I found Justice Rama Joyce in the media referring to a United Nations decision on handling corruption. Who is afraid of United Nations? Security Council is a different thing. Because America will say, get a resolution passed that America can bomb, and they will bomb. Bombing has become their favorite pastime. United Nations Charter is voluntary. United Nations cannot... Look here. The Security Council in 1948 passed a resolution saying that a plebiscite should be held in Jammu and Kashmir. to decide whether people want to remain in Indian Union or go to Pakistan. How many years have passed now? 60 years. What has happened? Forget plebiscite. Even P has not happened. So, question is a will. Will. Sir, it requires a lot of will. Remove the encroachments in Bangalore. It requires a tremendous amount of, no use blaming the poor commissioner, IAS commissioner or the BBMP. Because if he passes an order, remove this building, immediately Jesse Puttaswamy and Mr. Swamy and what did you say your name was? Second man?
No, Manjula Chandra.
Allah, Avaru. Mr. Murthy. They will start exerting pressure on this IAS officer. You will bring the IAS officer's father-in-law. Father-in-law doesn't matter. You will bring the mother-in-law. And who can resist a mother-in-law? And the ministerial pressure. Sir, IAS officer wants a cushy job. He does not want to go to the Northern Karnataka Improvement Board and sit somewhere in Gulbarga or something. His children are all studying in convent, what is that? Carmel convent and other things. He wants a posting here and all. Look, sir, how many people are prepared to suffer for their views? How many people? Ministers. I know, I have some friends in the ruling party here. I know that several people, important people in that party, are unhappy with the Chief Minister. They feel helpless because monthly tributes will go to Delhi and their party president will say what Mr. Yediyurappa did was immoral but not illegal. I am saying, sir, we are living in a practical world, sir, not an ideal world. But still I am hopeful. We have to persuade the Swiss government. Switzerland has a tough law, sir. Sir, do you know there are only 2 businesses available in Switzerland. The whole country lives on the strength of 2 business. One is the bank, the other is the watch manufacturer. Because watch manufacturer, the temperature is more suitable for the watch. If you remove these 2 business, Switzerland will collapse. People can't live, they can't eat. So banking they have built up into institution of greatest possible secrecy. A man in Karnataka who has got 100 crores, black money, he is such a place where he will find her. I will tell you a story, sir. When I was a district judge, I sold a plot of land belonging to me in Kasaragod. Nobody is prepared to pay everybody is prepared to pay the proper price. Nobody is prepared to show the price in the document. I tell them, look here, I am a district judge, I can't be a party to separation. Sir, you may sell it to whoever is prepared to show the money. I was in a quandary. I had some debts and all that. I wanted to clear those debts, sell this property, clear those debts, have a clean slate and all that. I may not be quoted outside this hall. Finally, I had to agree to showing something less in the sale deed. My problem was what to do with this something. Not much, sir, a couple of lakhs. So I had a couple of lakhs black money in my hand. I did not know, my hands were burning. I did not know what to do. I had a brother-in-law in Madras. So I took this money to Madras, went to him and told him that, can I keep this money? No. He is another God-fearing man who has not evaded 1 rupee income tax. No, not in my house. I said, President Babaji, you help me this and that. I am a government employee. If I am caught with this money, PC Act, there is a presumption that I am corrupt. Look here, what more you want for being an honest man to the best of your ability? Finally, I told him, ಈ ಅಟ್ಟ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಲಾಫ್ಟ್ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ರೂಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಫ್ಟ್ ಉಂಟು, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫುಲ್ಲು ಎಂಟಿ ಸೂಟ್ ಕೇಸಸ್, I said, I'll wrap this money in some newspapers, put it in one bag in the loft, and then lock it. Very reluctantly, he agreed. When I told some friends about my predicament, they laughed at my expense. What is this? The people holding crores of money and sleeping at night, keeping the money under a pillow, you go to Madras and keep it in somebody's loft. So it's a question of people's attitude. Tell, sir, my son has a site somewhere in Bangalore. It is a revenue site. He wants a kata for that. It is now part of BBMP, earlier part of village, municipality and other. Somebody who is to do it is demanding 30,000 rupees. I know if I go to Lokayukt, he will say, I will raid him. What is the point in raiding him? My money is still with me. It has not gone to him. Don't pay. Very well. Don't pay. But I will not get my kata. He will first of all write, your father was a Keralite, therefore, some objection he will write. It will take 2 months. I catch hold of somebody and some advocate general kindly talk to the minister and all that, and then that objection goes. Then he will find the spelling of his name is Subbaraya. It can be Subbaraya or Subbaraya. He has written one way. No, you have written SLC book, it is a single B, now it is double B. Then another. Till I leave this world, my son is not going to get kata. The other alternative is to pay this money. Sir, where is the solution? And you want a Lokpal which will cover everybody in this country, including ministers, IAS officers, above the level of deputy secretaries. So Lokpal must have a staff of 2 million people. And who verifies whether any of these 2 million people are getting corrupted? So you have another Lokpal containing 1 million people. Sir, look here. You have a practical system. I will be very unhappy if my brothers come under this Lokpal, which will contain whom? Prashant Bhushan. He will use this Lokpal when he is arguing a case, some other case in Supreme Court. My lord, your lordship may leave me early because at 4 o'clock I have a meeting at the Lokpal. It's an indirect hint, Better be careful about me. I don't want judiciary to be under this compulsion. Have a separate law. Mr. Moily is talking of judicial accountability bill for last 2 years. Why are you going on talking? Do something, Mr. Moily. Bring it in the parliament. Get it passed. He says Supreme Court will strike it down. Let the Supreme Court strike it down. Go to the people and tell them, look here, we have made the law, look at how Supreme Court is behaving. And move an amendment to the Constitution. There is a schedule. What schedule is there protecting so many land reform laws?
9th schedule.
9th schedule. All land reform laws at one time, all judges are landlords. You are a landlord. You own land. No. Good. All judges are landowners. Every land reform law they will strike down. Supreme Court strike down. Ultimately, the Parliament, I think during Nehru's time, they incorporated 9th schedule. They said, no law in the 9th schedule shall be deemed to be in violation of fundamental rights, even if it is violation of fundamental rights. So your Karnataka land reform law is protected by 9th schedule, Kerala Act. Have another schedule, 9A schedule, that nothing independent judiciary, etc., nothing will affect the validity of the laws mentioned in Schedule 9A. 1. Judicial Accountability Act. Include it. The Supreme Court will strike it down again. All right, think of something. You are the minister. You are having this red lighted car. You are paid as a minister. Think about something. So, somebody wants an ordinance declaring that all black money outside India is national asset. All right, you pass a. Pratibha Patil must sign it, assuming she signs it. What happens? You frame the ordinance. It's a one-sentence ordinance. This ordinance shall be called the Declaration of Black Money as a National Asset Bill. It shall come into force immediately or on the day of Gazette. 2. It is declared that all black money belonging to Indians and remaining outside India shall be national wealth of India. 3. Government shall have the power to frame rules and regulations to effectuate this law. 4. Thank you. What is what? And what is that Prashant Bhushan's father? Shashi. Shanti Bhushan. Shanti Bhushan says this. You can pass an ordinance. Ramdev, you say he doesn't know law. Anna Hazare, you can say he is not a law graduate. But Shanti Bhushan, Prashant Bhushan, pass an ordinance. Of course you can pass an ordinance. What is the effect? Mister, don't consider me vulgar. I am so angry at these lawyers. It can be used only for one purpose. Not in India, in America. You know for what purpose they use paper. That purpose will be served by our ordinance. In fact, you may print some 1 billion copies and send it to America. They will dispose of them very usefully. So, look here. I realize I was a special judge once in one district. I had to deal with Prevention of Corruption Act. I know the difficulties. Sir, there is a presumption in the Prevention of Corruption Act that if you are found to be in possession of wealth which you are not able to account, the law presumes that you have acquired that wealth by corrupt means. What more can a law do? Can a law say that with effect from today at 8 a.m., all wealth of all government officers and ministers in India shall be presumed to be? Can you pass such an ordinance? At most you can do is what is found in the Prevention of Corruption Act. Unaccounted wealth shall be presumed to be wealth acquired by corruption. The burden is on the fellow accused to prove that he has acquired it lawfully. Who is to operate these prevention of corruption cases? Central, maybe CBI, state government, the same police force which is allowing hookah parlours receiving 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees per night. They have to enforce it. All right, then somehow an honest police officer conducts investigation. Is he scientifically equipped to deal with the cases? How much investigation does a police officer do in his life? I will tell you, I committed the most foolish act in my life. When Mr. Kumaraswamy talked to me over the telephone, the most foolish act in my life was to agree to become the Commission of Inquiry to deal with the mining matter. Two matters, mining and the allegation made in the assembly by Kumaraswamy against previous Congress governments. Both were referred to the Commission of Inquiry. I was asked to give an interim report on basis of documents. People are clever, politicians are clever. I am to give interim report on the basis of documents within 2 months and a final report in 6 months. Why interim report? Can anybody guess? Interim report on the basis of documents? Because regarding 150 crores which Mr. Janardhan Reddy alleged that the Chief Minister took, there can't be any direct documents. So I'll give an interim report saying what? The allegations against the Honorable Chief Minister are, there is absolutely no documentary evidence and proof of it. And then the next 6 months this will be carried to all villages of Mysore and said such a independent minded judge like so and so has declared. That was the trick. I said not possible. I asked for one IG, 3 DIGs and assisting staff to investigate the allegations made by both sides. Mining, I got part-time 1 IG and 3 DIGs. IG was in some big job. Part-time he used to work with me. 1 DIG was DIG in charge of administration of the IG's office. He can't leave his office. Such a busy fellow. Another DIG was in charge of forest. Equally busy fellow. 3rd DIG was etc., etc. Till I called them and told me, give me 2 hours every day. I'll tell you what to do, whom to question. Then IG asked me, sir, why do you want an IG? Look, I have to question former ministers. In Dharam Singh's ministry, I will have to question Dharam Singh. I will have to question his successor chief minister, who is now a governor in where? Maharashtra. I have to question these people. I have to question senior IAS officers. I can't do it with the DIG. I had to ask for a DGP. But then I compromised and asked for IG. I told them, look, your business is only that. After 1 month he went on leave, study leave. 1 DIG I allotted work to him. There are various terms of reference. I split them up. Say, this you shall investigate, this you, this you. 1 DIG said, sir, I don't know how to, I have forgotten how to investigate. A DIG of police telling me, he has forgotten how to investigate. I said, doesn't matter, I will teach you how to investigate. He never turned up thereafter. 1 DIG did some work. He was put in charge of the allegations of irregularities in that, government mining company. Not Bellary, here. Huh? Kutremakkalri. Mysore Minerals. There are so many allegations of Mysore Minerals. 1 DIG said, you will have to. Not now, when the time comes. So we started, I got the police staff, we started questioning the deputy secretary, joint secretaries and secretaries. We climbed the ladder. After secretary, you come to the minister, then you come to the chief minister. Then one day I read in newspapers that Hindu, the government is thinking of winding up the commission. One thing I did, when I asked for the IG, I said this is only to investigate the allegations made by the Chief Minister Kumaraswamy against his previous governments, Congress governments. Allegation against Kumaraswamy is not to be investigated by these people. Then after 2 weeks I passed another order saying that it is most inappropriate to make state police officers investigate the Chief Minister. It will be embarrassing for the Chief Minister and the police officers. It will not create public confidence. Therefore, under Section 8 of the Commission of Inquiry Act, I have the power to require the central government to depute their officers to assist me in investigating. And therefore, I am hereby requesting the Government of India to depute the following level officers from the CBI to inquire into the allegations made by Mr. Reddy against Mr. Kumaraswamy. When Ashok Pachauri was the minister in charge of CBI, I knew him. He is an MP from Madhya Pradesh. I called him and talked to him. He said, I have not received your letter. I said, you will get it in half an hour by fax. Then I called him again. He said, I said, hi, I have got it. I will consult my personal staff and told you. I knew Mr. Bharadwaj very well. He was law minister when I was there. I tried to contact him. Impossible to get him. Early morning he is in bed And a little later he is taking breakfast. A little later he is in bathroom. A little later he has gone out. Morning is over. 4 phone calls. And I left a message, he should call me. He never called me. Then I will not name names. I called a very, very important Congress leader. Told him, I want CBI officers to inquire into allegations against Kumaraswamy. He said he knows raiding. You have to raid the Mr. Swami's house, his relations' houses, seize records, go to the banks. All the I can't do it. Police have to do it. And that officer, that Congress leader heard me out and told me, yes, but you want to do this? I said, yes, I am very serious. I don't know where this will end. I don't know where this will end. Kindly don't ask me to interfere in this matter. I wished him well and came out. And within a few days, read a newspaper to prepare to wind up. I called the chief secretary. He belongs to my district. Asked him, is it true? Then he said, I'll check up and tell you. He called me in half an hour. Sir, there is such a talk like that, but if you are prepared to give an interim report, then nothing will happen. I said, I can't give an interim report exonerating the chief minister for want of evidence, for want of documents. Sir, I am afraid there is some truth in the... This is 8 o'clock. 10 o'clock I went to the commission office, called the stenographer, dictated a resignation letter, and enclosed, they had given me a cell phone, enclosed a cell phone, and said that what is that, some wire you have to put, I said, I wrote that charger is in my house, I will deliver it tomorrow, and I shall instruct the driver not to report from tomorrow onwards, sent it onwards. And I don't know, within half an hour, media was there. Media was trying to catch me for 6 months. 6 months for an interview, at least a photo. One fellow told me, sir, people of Karnataka want to see your face. I said, even my wife does not want to see my face. So, what about people of Karnataka? I said, no, I don't want publicity. Last day, my secretary, a former district judge, called me and said, I am getting telephone calls from the media. They want to see you. I said, ask them to come. But keep their camera outside, person inside. So they all came. I showed them letter I was to send to the secretary of the government. And one of them said, sir, you are a little naive. You know the meaning of Naive? Innocent fellow. You may be a great judge, but innocent fellow. Why do you say, I am regarded as a clever man? No, sir. Then, today's scenario was worked out by the father, when you are appointed. That is, whoever picked me up for the publicity aspect. If people don't know me, unfortunately or fortunately, I have a good opinion about me. Particularly, I am a tough guy. So, such a man was selected and all that. I was recommended by 2 CGIs, therefore they came to me. But on that day of choosing you, the father had worked out the methodology of sending you out at the end of 6 months. Without your doing working. I said, yes, I am naive. I don't know. I take people at face value. If I look at milk, I believe it is milk unless the contrary is proved. Somebody should prove it is lime water. Till then I believe it is milk. I mean, that is what human beings suffer. So, sir, have some patience. You are younger than me. I hope you will see in your lifetime some black money coming. Look here, the fighter of the black money, today's media says, he is the owner of 37 companies. And many of his drugs have been banned in America. And his annual turnover is 1,100 crores. A gentleman who was caught wearing women's dress, the sannyasi wearing women's dress, his annual turnover, I don't know whether it's true or not. Media, today I saw in the media, 1,100 crores, etc., etc., etc. Look here, ಈ ಬೆಳ್ಳಗೆ ಇರುವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಲಲ್ಲ. People claim, pretend to be X, Y or Z. They may be that, they may not be that. But only time will tell us, and I think we require, having been so patient for so long, we require some more time to be patient. I am sure that Lokpal will come, may not be as Mr. Anna Hazare. You have seen Anna Hazare on the TV? ನಾನು ಚಿಕ್ಕದ್ರವ ನಾಟಕ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ, ಅನುಕರಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು. ವಾಟ್ ಡಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಮೀನ್? ಯು ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರೆಟ್. वो सब टीवी में चलेगा. हम what is it? You are dictating to what? You are dictating to the government of India. They are showing some respect. You must be happy about it. Look here, how can will a district judge allow a TV, what is that, recording machine in his chamber? Forget the courtroom. In his chamber, all these corruption etc. goes on in the chamber. And how are the people benefited? Anna Hazare arguing, Supreme Court judges, High Court judges included, Kapil Sibal saying that that can't be done, constitutionally invalid, Supreme Court will strike it down. And he is saying, how does it benefit us? I think we are ceasing to be a country of democrats. I want this, you do it. Then why do you have some 500, 700 parliament members and some 10,000 legislators and all that? We can have one Anna Hazare in Delhi, one deputy Anna Hazare in the shape of Swamiji. Barkast. We save thousands of crores of rupees on Lal Batti, car and etc. Look here, there are no shortcuts in administration. There are no shortcuts in ruling a country. It's a tough job, it's a complicated job. And allow experts. I have no objection if Mr. Shanti Bhushan and Prashanti Bhushan are consulted. What does Mr. the leader, what does he know about law? His social activities are confined to a couple of villages in Maharashtra. Good thing, a man with conscience, his conscience is stirred, so he is going around the country asking people to join together to prevail upon the government to do something. Good, no objection. But this is what is the difference between this and what the police did in Ramlila? This is only a finger, that is lati. So our intolerance, sahishnate, is increasing, which is a quality which is antithesis of democracy. Democracy is a matter of tolerance, conceding differences of opinion, conceding opinions which are different from mine. If any of you say anything against what I have said, I have no problem, because you are speaking on the basis of your experience and your understanding, which may be different from what I have. So, sir, black money, let us wait for some more time. I think something will happen. The Swiss government appears to be the problem. Forget political speech making. Swiss government there is an agreement. Even the Supreme Court unfortunately does not appear to have appreciated the full import of that agreement. Agreement is for tax purposes. Tax purposes. Are we satisfied if on black money they pay the tax? We are not satisfied. We want the black money here, for which the corporations of the Swedish government and the banking laws in Sweden are necessary. What happened that Pakistani singer, poor fellow, he carried some $50,000 in his. He came to India for Kacheri and collected some Ghulam Muslims, poor fellow. He was carrying some dollars in his bag when he reached the airport. He was caught, detained here for 3 or 4 months. He was made to pay fine and he allowed. Why? The laws of India. When a Pakistani comes to India, he is governed by the laws of India. They protested. Some Ustad, Ghulam Ali Khan, etc., big man for them, and our music lovers also. He's a big man. But he violated the law. So the government dealt with that. Maybe they wanted to send a message to Pakistan rulers, we will be tough. Maybe this unfortunate man happened to be caught. So black money, there is a problem, sir. Why not we worry ourselves for the internal black money first? I mean, it may be less in quantity than the foreign black money, but there's a lot of black money. How are these multiplexes coming? It's all black money. I know the cost of building a house. I constructed a house. I had to borrow money, not only from Provident Fund, but from outside sources also. I had to borrow money. Luckily, Justice Pandian's pay commission came to my rescue. I got a substantial amount in a lump sum. I cleared the debt. So, sir, I think it's time now for all of us to think of returning home. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ದ ಲೆಂತ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈ ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ reason why my friend should not invite me again any time.
ಸನ್ಮಾನ್ಯ ಮಿತ್ರರೇ, ನಾಳಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಟನ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್